What's up, y'all? Before we get into our Thanksgiving mini episode of The Quiet Loud, I just want to take a moment and say thank you. This week, The Quiet Loud crossed 25,000 views in under 10 weeks. For a new voice in the political space, I feel like that's pretty rare. And for an independent creator such as myself, one-man band, if you will, I think that's extraordinary. And for me personally, it's just so meaningful that you all have given your time and listened to us, whether that be here on YouTube, with the video pod, or either on the audio pods on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. So I'm immensely grateful. And so whether that this holiday for you is joyful, complicated, heavy, or just a long weekend, I'm grateful that you're here. And I'm grateful that you give me a few minutes of your time each week. Okay. Now, I'm going to keep it short, sharp, and thoughtful for this Quiet Loud episode. And this is your Thanksgiving mini quiet countdown. We begin close to home, here in North Carolina. New reporting from Reuters shows that federal immigration raids in Charlotte and Raleigh have now surpassed 250 arrests, with community leaders warning the operation may not be over. Schools in Mecklenburg County reported over 30,000 absences tied directly to ICE presence. Governor Josh Stein and local officials say they were given zero warning and emphasized that local police will not assist or cooperate. It is one thing to talk about policy at the national level. It's another thing entirely when that policy shows up at your schools, your workplaces, and your neighborhoods. And part of what we do here is The Quiet Loud is to make sure that these stories don't get lost in the noise, especially when they're happening in our own backyard. So let's travel over to Washington, where the cracks are no longer just rumors. It is official. Marjorie Taylor Greene will resign from Congress on January 5th, 2026, according to the Associated Press and a host of other networks and her own Twitter page. This follows weeks of public infighting with Trump, who's called her everything from wacky to crazy and a traitor. We've covered this in past episodes as well. But behind the scenes is part of something much deeper. Punchbowl News reports that Greene is not the only Republican considering an exit. Morale in the House GOP is described as, quote, the lowest it has ever been. A longtime Republican Congressman, Dan Bacon, also admitted that he considered resignation after Trump pressured him to support a foreign policy plan national security officials rejected outright. Now I'm talking about the so-called Ukraine peace plan, which is really just the Russian bribe, where Trump decided to let Russia dictate the terms of Ukraine's surrender to him. Everybody is rejecting this. And so this is not just a personality clash. This is the erosion of a power struggle from inside its own walls. So we're going to keep watching this, because this may not be the end of the dominoes starting to fall in the GOP. Moving on, according to the Kaiser Family Foundation, Trump's tariffs are already driving up 2026 healthcare insurance premiums, hitting the people who supported Trump the most: rural Americans, older Americans, and veterans. The National Taxpayers Union warned tariffs on medical supplies are raising hospital costs, especially in rural areas. And AmericansCovered.org reports that as many as 267 veterans may lose their coverage without reinstated health care credits, something Trump has flat out refused to support. A letter from the Senate Veterans Affairs Committee put it bluntly, quote, tariffs are undermining veteran health security. When policies start to hurt the very voters who built your movement, cracks in loyalty become the consequences of those choices. Meanwhile, Bloomberg government reports that Republicans are moving toward a party-line healthcare bill after Trump abruptly withdrew his own replacement plan. Replacement plan, guys, come on. Since 2015, when he first came down that escalator and began talking about his whole repeal and replace plan, we were always supposed to be expecting that replacement plan to come in 2 weeks. Well, it's been 9 years. Okay. He's been president now nearly 5 of those 9 years, and nothing has ever come out. We are still no closer to knowing what Donald Trump's health care plan is today than we were when he came down that escalator in 2015. So right now we see no plan, no cost estimate, no coverage numbers, just political pressure. One GOP staffer said it privately, quote, we can't run on healthcare, and we can't fix it, and we can't escape it. I think that's right. This is an albatross around the neck of Republicans who have constantly tried to repeal and replace Obamacare, knowing that they don't have anything to put in its place. When the party's signature issue becomes as big as liability, confidence starts to fall apart. Republican voters all across the country are starting to have remorse now that they see that their health care could double come January 1st. All right? This is a big deal. This one, though, is gaining a bit of speed. The U.S. Senate, in a rare moment of unity, voted unanimously to release the Epstein files. Now, Trump hesitated, but then he wanted to go out and do a victory lap and claim credit once the outcome was all but guaranteed. Punchbowl and Midas Touch both reported several House Republicans were bracing for the documents to implicate people, quote, close to the president. When a bipartisan vote passes unanimously in this political climate, it is less a vote and more of a signal. And that signal says that the political cost is shifting, and it's shifting fast. So we need to watch this because I think the ground is quickly eroding beneath the Trump administration's feet. Okay? And now the FBI is investigating. This story has taken a sharp turn. I don't know if many of you saw this, but last week, 6 Democratic elected officials, all veterans, released a PSA urging military and intelligence members to refuse any illegal orders. Now, this in and of itself is not a controversial statement. It is something that all military people basically follow when they're getting their orders, that you can refuse and shall refuse any and all illegal orders, okay? It was a calm PSA, it was constitutional, and it was clearly aimed at preventing any abuses of power. Okay? But Reuters is now reporting that the FBI has opened interviews and the Pentagon is considering recalling Senator Mark Kelly to active duty just for the possibility of a court-martial. This is an unprecedented move that veterans say is political retaliation. I mean, it can look no other way. The Guardian reports multiple veterans organizations condemning the administration's rhetoric, calling the PSA sedition, warning that it destabilizes norms that protect both democracy and the military from politicization. When veterans, people who are trained to follow orders, warn the country to prepare for illegal ones, and the government then responds by threatening them, that wholly suggests that institutions are preparing for something none of us should be ignoring. Okay? We've seen this coming. We've talked about this and covered it on the pod even before Trump and Pete Hegseth called in all the generals and ranking officials to basically tell them that America was going to be a training ground for them. All right? We should not be ignoring this. And here at The Quiet Loud, we're going to stick with this story and follow it as far as it can go. All right? So here's the question beneath all of it. Are Republicans starting to fall out of love with Trump, or are they finally just starting to speak out loud what they've been afraid to admit? That the movement is shifting away from MAGA and away from Donald Trump. And it could possibly even be unraveling. Either way it goes, we'll keep tracking it carefully, responsibly, and consistently right here on The Quiet Loud. All right? So that was it. I'm not going to keep you very long. I promised you that. But if you're new here, I just want to say welcome to The Quiet Loud. And please consider subscribing, leaving a like here, and a comment to tell us, what really struck you the most, or to put a bug in my ear on something you think I should be covering that I haven't covered yet. All right? But if you have been here, thank you for coming back. Thank you for contributing to this milestone that we achieved this week. And I would love for you all to stay with us as we continue to achieve new milestones and grow this channel. All right. I just want to wish you guys a happy Thanksgiving. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And please, please stay safe out there. Okay. And as always, I want you to be loud in your listening and be real in your truth. I'm DeAntony Collins, and this has been The Quiet Loud. Y'all take care. Oh, and a full episode of The Quiet Loud will be up next Thursday, just like clockwork. All right, y'all. Peace.